Alright, welcome back. My name is Tristan, and in this video we're going to be going through the installation process of our deck hinge upgrade kit. This is a fault which we identified in the previous video. Before we get into it, I do want to make mention though, for those customers that have Mk5 Tvan where this fault hasn't already occurred, a worthy upgrade, a very simple upgrade, is to simply replace this M8 fastener which track use in rear deck from factory with a hatch shoulder bolt. The hatch shoulder bolt available on our website, and I'll put a link in the description. The reason for it is we believe this to be the underlying issue, or I believe this to be the underlying issue. The reason for that is two reasons. Before mid-23, we'd see this fault having occurred in brand new vans, hadn't even been delivered, and that's because in production the fasteners are just done up too tight. The second reason is this one's really common. It's come off a customer's van, they've replaced the rivets already before in an attempt to address this, but they haven't identified the fact that that hinge bolt is done up so tight. And again, this material manufactured or used to manufacture this deck so light, those fasteners really bully on this soft aluminium. And of course, as soon as you open and close that deck a few times, they just open up. So the application of this hinge bolt is designed to be used with 5 brass washers, 2 3mm brackets, which make up the hinge, and that provides the correct clearance, correct working clearance, and so you don't have to get to a condition where they are too tight. What I'll do now is I'll bring that camera in and we'll get started on the removal of these components in preparation for the installation of our kit. So first step is to remove the original hinge and this pedestal, and we're going to do this with the deck up. Makes it much easier to access or remove this component. I'm going to be using a 2mm, a 4mm pin punch and a small cold chisel. I'm also going to use a 4.8mm drill bit to remove these heads. The first thing to do is punch these mandrels out of the centre of those rivets. It's going to make drilling and removing those heads much easier. What I'm going to do is go and remove all of those mandrels. Then I'm going to use the drill to remove those heads. I'll cut directly to the point where I've removed all of that. Right, so at this point I've gone ahead and removed all of those rivet heads. On this occasion, all of these rivets came out really cleanly, didn't need to use the cold chisel at all. I've just temporarily placed it all in position just to highlight a point. This is the pedestal which comes off. Once it's off, I'd usually lay the deck down. It makes it much easier to do this at ground level. For the sake of the video, I'm going to attempt to do the whole job up here. When you remove the hinge, you just have to be aware that there is a spacer plate, and it is critical that it goes back in and that the orientation is correct. So make sure that you refit that. There is only enough rivets in this kit to install this kit once, so just make sure you get that right. The next step now is to simply clean these surfaces up. This one's not in a terrible state, in fact it's pretty good, but these surfaces tend to get pretty ugly. So just clean that up with a bit of Scotch-Brite. What you need to do is, we'll start with this rearmost hinge. Place your hinge in position and take out 4 of the 8 16mm long rivets. When you place this in position, you'll notice the holes don't line up. What we're trying to do is pull this in as hard as we can, because we anticipate in most vans, most people doing this repair, those holes are a little bit flogged out or worn. Easy way to do this is just place it loosely in position, then fit the rivets. And even though they don't really align, you'll notice you'll be able to push that up quite okay. I'm going to just cut this video. I'm going to grab the rivet gun and we'll rivet those into position and we'll do the same. Alright, so I've skipped ahead here. I've gone and installed all of those rivets. I'm now going to install this forwardmost bracket plate. Importantly, make sure the orientation of this plate, the spacer plate, is correct. Make sure the holes align and that it sits square inside that bracket, and then take those longer, those 8 longer rivets and use them for this bracket only. This space here is obviously the thickest, and so we require the 20mm rivets. And again, you only get 8 20mm rivets in this kit, and you need all 8. So go ahead and install those. What I'm going to do is install the 3 rivets on the back side, and then we're going to go ahead and install the shoulder bolt. Now, the shoulder bolt, importantly, in this application has been designed to afford us a suitable operating clearance when used with all 5 brass washers. Now, when you're installing these brass washers, it's important to make sure that you've got something similar to what came out. In this one, there was 2 steel washers in between those 2 brackets, and so I'm going to do the same with these brass washers. I'm going to put 2 on the outside, pass that through. I'm going to fiddle in those centre 2 brass washers, and then there'll be 1 on the end. And by the time that's all clamped up, making allowance for these 2 3mm brackets, will have the correct amount of clearance. Right, so I've gone ahead and installed the shoulder bolt, all of the rivets, and the pedestal. The pedestal we have to move over. So what I've done is I've used the base as a template, and I've drilled 3 new holes. In the kit there's enough for 4 per side. The 4th one is a rivet that I don't think you can see on this camera here. It leaves an exposed hole. Just use that 4th rivet to plug that hole. The shoulder bolt, when it's installed, should spin freely. The nylock nut or the flange nut has been done all the way up until it's hit that shoulder, so it's nice and firm and tight, does not need adjustment beyond that. Importantly, because this is quite easy to do, just be aware that that last brass washer hasn't dropped down in between the nut and the shoulder itself. For some customers, if your holes have opened up to a point where they are excessive, we can supply a kit with 1/4" fasteners. We prefer not to do it, and we do get away with quite a lot, with the way these have been designed to sit in so tight into that corner. So for most applications, this kit is perfectly fine. For those customers, if your rivets have actually started to come out of the end, they're falling out, you're at the point where you probably need a 1/4" rivet. Once you've done both sides, that's it. Deck's upgraded. This does not require constant adjustment as the factory fasteners do. You just require a small amount of lubricant occasionally.